Crispy was good with it. Home Podcast After Dark
starts now. Welcome to Home and Podcast After Dark, a Home and Podcast. My name is Adam. You'll know my co-host Jordan. Jordan, cheers to you.
Cheers to you. It's been a while since we've done a bonus episode, so we thought we would, we put out the options there, and one person voted, so cheerio.
Well, what happened was I think we maybe thought we were done with these, but then we got a little bit of cash over the last month or so, and
we felt obligated.
Yeah, guilt sort of slipped in, and we thought, well, all right. But no, we're talking cheers today, and I'm happy to be talking about it with you. I'm in kind of a melancholic mood this morning, Jordan, and should I expand on that?
I would like to know why.
Yeah, I'm just going to...
Because usually when you talk to me, you're just 100% joyful.
Yeah, well, let me take a sip of my coffee here, and then I'll tell you.
Okay, that's interesting. We did one episode, we talked about cheers. I don't remember why.
ASMR, exactly. That's what I was doing with my coffee. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know. I took the afternoon off work. I got a lot of hours to burn
through. Do they roll over next year or no?
Up to 5, but I have a lot.
Only 5 hours or 5 days? 5 days.
5 days. That's 5 hours. Okay. That's pretty useless. That's cruel. You might as well not even roll it over at that point.
Yeah, that's stupid. Jeez.
Up to 5 days, but I have like 12.
So how many do you have? Yeah, I want to know that.
Like personal vacation carryover, sick. I mean, like, I don't know, 12, 13 or something.
No, I was hoping you'd just be able to take off all of December and we can just dedicate ourselves to the podcast fully.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's not a lot of work at my job to do in December anyway, so it's kind of...
Same thing. Might as well just not use the time off.
I know, that's kind of what I'm thinking, but no, basically, so the point being is I took the afternoon off, and I was a little bit hungry. We don't have any food in the house, so I walked outside, and it's kind of a dreary, overcast day, and I made some interesting choices. I decided to take all of the change from my car and then go to the grocery store, and I bought 2 pieces of cold fried chicken, and I walked, and it started to rain, and I just kind of ate these cold pieces of chicken as I walked through the rain.
Oh, and there is not a sadder picture of life than that.
It felt, like a sad Woody Allen movie, or I guess a lot of people would just say like a Woody Allen movie.
In general.
But yeah, I'm feeling a little melancholic, and I watched a Cheers episode that kind of only added to that, but I'm excited to talk about it with you because I like Cheers, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, but what I really like is Halloween episodes of TV shows.
Yeah, I mean, before we had thought this was going to be a Frasier episode, you sent me a Halloween Frasier episode. Yeah. I think we might just do a Halloween-centric podcast where we just watch sitcoms and Halloween episodes. That might be up your alley.
I mean, we kind of already do that, like we got this, and we got what?
That's home improvement.
And Dracula comes a lot, so I'm kind of living that dream. But yeah, I mean, it is definitely one of my interests. I am a sucker for the old Halloween episodes, and this.
You like a thematic episode, and you specifically like the Halloween. And you know what? It's September, late September. We're getting into that fall mood, which we'll get on. Tangent about in our main podcast, but it all fits in right now.
It's not going to be nearly as good as that fried chicken thing I just gave you, so just know as Patreon donors that you get good stuff like that story, because I would not have shared that's not a main feed story.
Heck no. Was the fried chicken cold when you picked it up? Or I just don't understand. Why did you buy it then?
I like cold fried chicken.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it still crispy?
Do you...
that's my main...
I'm a little confused by how you don't
very perplexing.
know what...
I do not make it a habit to eat cold fried chicken.
Okay, but
like, I want a crispy, fried, warm chicken. I don't understand.
Yes, it still stays crispy. I mean, depending on where...
Well, when you put it in the fridge, like overnight, it's no longer crispy. You have to crisp it up in the oven or something. So I'm just... I guess this is perplexing.
I think it depends on what level of crispy you like your chicken. This was plenty crispy for me, but I don't desire crisp above all else. There's a lot of things that make a good piece of fried chicken, and crisp is just one part of the equation, just a bit.
Sounds like a poll.
Well, then I have to come up with what the other parts are.
The meat, the skin, I guess, the crispiness.
Well, the seasons. Seasoning,
the heat, temperature of the bird. So that's like 6 choices right there.
Yeah, so well, there's the poll. It tasted good.
Is this part of that like every man versus 1% dynamic that we have going on?
Yeah, I mean, cold fried chicken. You can't even put yourself in a position where you're not eating caviar, so I don't expect you to understand. Rich boy.
Well, if I have fried chicken, it's usually handed to me on a silver platter. So and it's always warm
by your butler, and
exactly. And then he's got a white glove on,
and then your maid comes and cleans it up immediately after, just like gets the crumbs off.
And then there's this one guy who just kind of feeds it to me. Like I don't even have to move my arms.
Well, he's the feeder. You have a butler, a feeder, and a maid. Yeah.
What do you call the guy who works my jaw muscles?
Jaw guy. Jaws.
There you go, Jaws.
Yeah.
All right.
They're Dr. Sharp.
Interesting. All right, well, it's good to know.
Yep.
I've never named those people before, but now I can give them a nice little nickname.
Yeah, you can. And what's the nickname of this episode of Cheers we're covering?
Fairy tales can come true.
No, that's the real name. What's the nickname?
Oh, there is a nickname?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's called Ponce de Leon takes Tink.
It's called Ponce on My Prey.
Well, it was good to get a lot of Florida references in this episode. That really rang true for me.
Yeah. Do you have any stuff you want to say? Like, are you gonna do like date or anything, or you don't care to do it?
I have general. Do we need to talk general show information?
Yeah.
Since this is
okay. I guess we've never really talked about Cheers. So,
we have a little bit, just a tiny bit,
okay,
but not in this depth. So I've got some information. I'm assuming you have some as well.
I don't have any information. I'm just going to talk about how it relates to me personally.
All right. Well, let me just tell you general show information, and then we can get into the personal stuff.
Cool.
Can
I interrupt you as you just say it, or do you just want to get through all this really quickly?
Feel free to interrupt me at any time.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. September 30th, 1982, the first episode of Cheers, ran 275 half-hour episodes across 11 seasons until May 20th, 1993, set in Boston, Mass. It has 2 episodes on TV Guide's 100 greatest episodes of all time, and it was ranked 18th on TV Guide's 50 greatest TV shows of all time. So it's critically acclaimed, according to TV Guide. I mean, most people are familiar with the show, but the short synopsis is regulars of a Boston bar share their experiences and live with each other while drinking or working, where everybody knows your name. Can you guess the tagline of the show? I didn't realize there was going to be a tagline, but I found one on IMDb.
Can you tell me if it's related to the song, the theme song?
No,
it's not. Okay,
but it's related to being a bar.
Okay, all right. Okay, the tagline has got to be, belly up to the bar, friendo.
Friendo is definitely not an 80s term.
Crap. Shoot.
It's the laughs around the house.
Okay, that's better. Yeah, that's a better one.
Objectively better.
They did better. Yeah.
Just general, I mean, they got up to number 1 on the Nielsen ratings in 1990. So obviously very important. They were top 5 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons.
It's interesting for a show to get to number 1 in the Nielsen ratings in their 5th or 6th season.
Towards the end.
Yeah.
It was 9 out of 11.
That's funny because Home Improvement, seemingly the opposite is happening.
Yeah, I got to season 3 and 4. That was the best seasons?
I would say so. Yeah.
I mean, 11 seasons in general is just quite a long run, so that's pretty prolific. This episode that we talked about, the fairy tales can come true. Season 3, episode 4, so we're right in the middle of that, not even the early stages of that run. They're ranked 12 in the Nielsen rating this season. Yeah. And episode 4, so early on in the season, directed by James Burrows, who had 129 director credits, including every 90s sitcom.
A ton of Emmys, it looked like, right?
Yeah. Friends, Will and Grace, Frasier, a lot more. Written by Sam Simon, who did The Simpsons, Drew Carey Show, Taxi, 5 episodes of Cheers overall. So just a lot of stuff, a lot of work for these two. And this one aired October 25th, 1984.
Yeah, cool. So I mean, what's your relationship with Cheers?
Yeah, I think this is what we did talk about in some episode, but I did watch it as it was syndicated. I guess maybe it was high school or maybe it was middle school. It was on late at night, so I would watch it at night every once in a while and enjoyed the show. I don't know that I watched the whole run. Obviously, there's a ton of episodes here, but watched quite a bit of it. Enjoyed it. Thought it was funny. I think I told this in their main feed, but there was a Cheers.
Go to the bar at the
yes,
yeah, that is funny.
It was at like the Cincinnati airport or something. There was a Cheers restaurant that I went to.
Yeah, and
it was like the same day that the Washington D.C. sniper was caught or something when that was a big thing. Yeah. So I guess that would be like that was a little bit after September 11th. So I guess it was 2002, 2003 maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's about when I was watching it. So obviously I was very impressed with the show that I wanted to go and get a cheeseburger or something.
Was it good? Was the food good?
I mean, my taste at that time was pretty paltry. I think
that time, I don't know, man.
Hey, I think I made it a point at every restaurant to get like either a bacon cheeseburger or a cheeseburger, and then I would try to compare the cheeseburgers.
Your eating habits when I was eating with you a lot were like, let me get this hamburger, cut it in half, eat half of it, and
save the other half for later.
Yeah.
I was getting on that beach bod.
Hell yeah. You look good then. Now you look okay. I don't know if you're eating whole burgers now, but you might want to go back.
Depends on my mood. Yeah. Depends on if I've had some cold fried chicken or not.
Not as a rule, you're not cutting them in half.
No.
Bacon cheeseburger, yeah, that was your go-to. I remember that, yeah.
Staple. It's easy. It's delicious. If I recall, I used to like have a ranking system. There was not a ranking system, but I remembered like the top 3 bacon cheeseburgers I'd ever had.
What were they?
Oh man, there was this one website that was there was this one restaurant that was. It wasn't like a Cabela's, but it was at like a Cabela's.
What?
It was at one of those big outdoor stores. It was like connected to
it.
It
had the best bacon cheeseburger you've ever had?
It had a really good cheeseburger. Eventually, I started getting into bison burgers. Those were delicious as well. I remember Bennigan's having a pretty good burger.
You love Bennigan's. I remember that.
Yeah, now I won't be caught dead in a Bennigan's.
Well, you can't find any, so that's convenient.
Near us, there's a Brannigan's, which is an obvious ripoff. It's like the exact same script.
It's like
of letters.
Burger Queen. Brannigan's. I like Bennigan's is worth ripping off. I mean,
it's not. They had a good Monte Cristo there too.
Back Steakhouse.
I don't know what was on my list other than that. Okay. But yeah, I remember that. I don't remember the restaurant, but I remember it was like attached to a Cabela's or something. So there you go. Adam, what's your experience with Cheers?
Oh man,
how are you gonna follow that?
By answering the question, I guess, just in a simple way. I had never watched Cheers until like 2 years ago, and then they're all on Netflix now, and I binged the first season, and then I just kind of stopped.
Oh, it didn't hook you?
Well, I don't know what happened, because I remember liking it, and then I watched this episode, and I was like, I really like Cheers. Like, I could really get into Cheers. So I guess I'm going to get back into Cheers now. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure why I stopped after the first season. I think, like, I guess I view it as, like, a good show to have on in the background if you don't want silence. It's like a show you can leave the room and kind of, it's not real plot heavy, I guess you might say, more conversational. But, yeah, I mean, I liked it. I just kind of lost interest. But I'm definitely going to get back in. And
so many heavy hitters,
My new goal is to watch every episode of Cheers.
That's a lofty goal. That's 71 more episodes than Home Improvement or something.
Yeah, but I don't have to like talk about them and take notes. It's gonna be a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not like I'm trying to do this by the end of the week or anything.
No, and you can watch 3 in one sitting and whatnot.
Yeah,
so
I want to get to Woody Harrelson and stuff. So I gotta get there.
Kirstie Alley, Woody Harrelson.
I could do without her, but
Kelsey Grammer. The list goes on and on and on.
But no, I like it. And this episode was a good reminder of that.
It's good.
It's just a good show.
It's funny to see. I mean, all these people are obviously so young. So like the last time I saw Kelsey Grammer, he was in like a Kirsten Bell Netflix movie, and he was so much older.
Oh, I saw that. Like Father.
Yeah, and then you have this where he's so much younger, and it almost looks like that new CGI stuff that they're doing for is it The Irishman with De Niro and all
Yeah,
those people?
The Irishman. Yeah.
It looks like that almost, but it's real life. And Ted Danson, obviously, it's very popular with The Good Place right now. And to see him with all that white gray hair, and then to see him with this, so it's yeah.
Well,
it's
he is wearing a hairpiece in all of Cheers.
From what I read, that is true. He had a bald spot on top of his head. So
yeah, I mean, great looking hairpiece either way.
Great looking everything.
Great looking guy. I mean, like he's just. I get it.
Tall, dark, and handsome.
That's right. I'll say. I belly up to that bar, friendo.
All right, so I don't think we have much else to say. I mean, I did. One other interesting fact that I had about the show in general before we kick off into the episode. The series finished 77th, dead last in the Nielsen ratings the week it debuted.
That's crazy. So,
started from the bottom.
It's like Seinfeld, where like really didn't find its footing for a while, but
boy did it. Okay,
boy did it.
Let's get into the episode.
Let's do it. Yeah, cheers.
Let's do it.
Halloween, spooky.
Halloween, very spooky. Not spooky at all, actually,
but
very festive.
It's actually not. It's probably the least spooky episode of television I've about ever seen. Is it?
Especially for a Halloween one.
Yeah, is it Halloween night, or do we not? I guess we don't really know.
I suppose it must be, at least Halloween weekend or something, but it's very festive in the Cheers bar. Like, everyone's dressed up except for Norm, I would say. Maybe there's a couple other people who aren't. You got various costumes, all looking good.
Yeah.
And you got Kelsey Grammer right away telling a scary story that he's lifting from Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
Which apparently nobody's heard of Edgar Allan Poe before.
Well,
it's the crowd. Consider the crowd.
He's doing the End of the Raven, so, like, it's probably Poe's most famous piece, but, he's got to consider the audience, I guess. Maybe if he does Telltale Heart, they get something out of that.
If he said "Quoth the Raven, Nevermore,"
right, for sure, yeah.
But I don't know if we got there or not.
He does. There is a Nevermore, but it's not. Yeah, it's not the "Quoth the Raven, Nevermore." So.
Yeah, but this is his character in the series. If for some reason you've never seen Cheers, he's
pretentious.
He's a very pretentious, intelligent person, but obviously likable. Everyone's around him.
This is only like his third episode, I guess.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because like. Sam and Diane broke up at the end of season 2, and we're only like 3 episodes into season 3, and they like start dating episode 1 of season 3. So their relationship is pretty new, and Frasier's character is pretty new in general. And he's going to be around for, I mean, obviously, like, it's not trivia to say that that character becomes the character of Frasier. Like, everybody knows that. But he lived in this character for a long time. That's for sure.
I think it was like 20 seasons or 20 years or something crazy.
But,
so yeah, and then they go from that opening scene. I mean, I didn't write down.
I didn't take any notes, but like basically, yeah. I mean, I think, and we're just gonna talk about out of order, but like basically, you got Frasier and Diane, and they're going to see the Boston Pops. I don't really know what the Boston Pops are. And
it's like an orchestra type stuff.
And they're going to go and like, you can tell the Sam-Diane relationship is still pretty fresh, even though, like, they're kind of constantly just, like, taking jabs at each other. That's just sort of the dynamic. But Frasier, he has to leave pretty quickly for, like, an academic conference, I think. And then that leaves the status of the Boston Pops tickets and really sort of in the lurch. She doesn't know what she's going to do with them.
Yeah.
And I say, I gotta have my Pops.
Little ditty about Sam and Diane. Sam talks a little bit about the Pops here as well.
Yeah.
And seems interested, and he seems like he knows quite a bit about it. There's kind of this thread where Frasier thinks that Sam is pretending to be dumb and some jokes to go along with that.
I think he definitely is pretending to be dumb.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's just playing that up.
Just like me.
Doesn't come through.
Oh, well, hey, it's nice.
Do you want to talk about the theme song?
I mean, it's the best theme song.
It's so classic.
It's the best theme song of any show ever.
It's certainly very memorable. And then, the images in the background, I think are obviously very memorable as well. So, just all around, 10 out of 10 for that theme song.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I don't know, I feel like it can't be overstated, just like how crazy it is that they went 11 seasons. I mean, like, I know that this is kind of like the Chris Farley show on SNL, where he's like asking Paul McCartney if it was cool being in the Beatles, but like, it can't be overstated how hard it would be and how impressive it is that this is just a show that takes place in a bar. Like, they really don't ever leave the bar. It's just insane. Like, what
there's-
good writing? I mean, like, just, like, what great characters and what strong writing to be able to do that. Because, I mean, can you imagine an episode of Home Improvement where they stayed in one setting? Like, it would be horrible. We'd lose our minds.
In the house.
Yeah.
We used to. Do you remember getting really excited when there was like a new set?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's so the opposite, and, like, I'm not throwing shade at Home Improvement or anything, but, like, yeah, if they stayed in, like, I don't know, if there was, like, a whole episode at Big Mike's Tavern, like, that would be pretty awful.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, like you said, a testament to a bunch of different it's a different show, right? That's a more family-oriented show.
Yeah.
You got the kids and everything, so it doesn't quite work. You've got a bunch of high-quality actors here interacting in the bar and whatnot, so it's a different setting, but yeah, just 11 seasons of this, and it's all pretty good. So
it's all pretty good. So moving forward, Cliff comes in, and he's dressed as Ponce de Leon, and man,
he's got some swag.
That's an expensive costume. That's like the people that spend like $500 on the Batman costumes, like that's costly. That's
roll up in a Batmobile.
Yeah, right. He's funny, man. I like John Ratzenberger. You can't listen to him without thinking about for me, it's the Toy Story stuff, I feel like.
Of course.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, of course.
But man, it's a great voice. You got Norm, he's my favorite Cheers character, probably. If you can't choose Sam, I just think Norm's really funny, and he's hanging out, and Carla's doing her thing, which is kind of just being mean to everybody all the time.
Yeah,
but
just kind of a jerk.
People kind of like it. You got Coach, who, man, that guy's funny. In the beginning, there's that joke where Kelsey Grammer's like, that was Poe. And Coach is like, don't say that. It was a good story. It's just really funny to me.
Coach is just he's supportive, but he's not all
he's a simpleton, and then there's it's not really a gay joke later on, but like people are talking about Cliff's like how Cliff is the kind of, he's like a big talker, right? Like he fancies himself good with women. He knows a lot about Florida, kind of a know-it-all, and like he comes in and he's pretty sure he's gonna do well with the ladies or whatever, and then there's some speculation like, is he gay or not? And then
because no one's ever seen him with a lady,
seen him with a lady or like talked to a lady, freezes up, and Coach is talking about a guy that about how you can't really judge a gay guy by how he looks and stuff, which is a good message, especially for 1984. But then there's that line about like how that baseball player ended up being gay, which
Sam.
Yeah, that was. I mean, it was funny. It was. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what I think that this is viewed as being a progressive show.
Yes.
I feel like, because I mean, like that's a pretty tasteful. That whole interaction was pretty tasteful. I can't imagine Home Improvement handling something quite that well. But it's just good writing. But I mean, Cliff comes in. He's talking a big game, lots of bits, and he just he ventures into the back pool area, right? And then he strikes out. Is that what happens?
He like brings a guy forward.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
He's trying to like tell him stuff about oranges or whatever.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, I left my oven on, and he says, I'm gonna go stick my head in it or something.
That was like not that great of a line. That was kind of weird.
It was a little strange, but obviously he's like, get me out of here.
He was miserable.
There's someone overhearing this in the background who loves Florida oranges.
As a Floridian, this episode must have been really, really good for you. Have you seen
satisfying?
Have you seen the largest shoes in Orlando that the episode talks about?
I was wondering where that might be. I mean, there is a Gatorland right by where we used to live, but they did not have that on a billboard or anything. So I have to do a little bit of digging. Maybe Shaq wore them or something. I don't know.
It's possible.
This is, before Shaq's time, I suppose. But yeah, it's a strange thing to be known for, I suppose, in Orlando. But they're not talking about it now. But this is, they talk about the alligator shoes. They talk about Florida oranges. She knows exactly who Ponce de Leon is, and this is a really funny line where Cliff is like so excited by her admiration of this conversation that he's like, let's get married and can you bear my children or something like that.
She's pretty chill though. Like they're both equally pretty dorky, so it kind of works out. She's Tinkerbell, a good costume, and I guess an important thing to note is like both of their faces are obscured. Yes.
So they don't actually know who each other are. Note about the actress here, it is Bernadette Burkett, which is George Wendt, Norm, as you mentioned earlier, his wife.
That's funny. She also voices his wife throughout the show, I read.
Right. Yes, and she's never on screen, though.
Yeah, oh, wow, that's how they could do this, yeah. I liked her.
It's just like Wilson.
It's just like Wilson. Man, the parallels, they keep on coming. So Norm and, Cliff and Tinkerbell, they head out to shoot some billiards, or whatever the Floridians call it. It's like pocket. I don't know. What is he has a special Floridian name for pool, but I can't remember what it is. 'Cause I don't remember. I didn't take notes, but it's funny because Cliff be funny. And I like it when they leave, how the whole bar just kind of cranes their neck because they can't believe what's
going on,
what's transpired.
Yeah, the way that they use everybody in the bar in this episode, really, you'll see Sam later, when they're all kind of stuck at the bar. It's really good to get everybody involved. But yeah, everybody's excited for Cliff and confused, and Cliff is he's not being like his normal self because he's dressed up as Ponce. He's taken on the explorer persona, so he feels pretty confident.
She says that he's exploring uncharted territory. And,
oh my gosh!
I think he has.
I think he blushes.
Has a little accident in his pants.
It's a good thing he's wearing armor down there.
Whoa! Yeah. Hopefully not a chastity belt. If you catch my drift. Do you catch my drift?
No. Okay. Would you explain
it? No, I can't. This episode can be blue, but I don't want to go that far. So yeah, we cut to the next scene, and they're slow dancing. We're to assume quite a bit of time.
It's 2 o'clock.
It's closing time. Diane's ready to go, but Sam, he's just he's a really nice guy to everybody, and he's just he's just watching them and happy. But at a certain point, even he has to unplug the jukebox, and the magic has to end, Jordan, and it does. But not without a plan.
Not without a plan. They're going to meet up tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. No costumes. Wow. So there you go. That's the way you build up some tension here. And then there's also in this scene, Diane is trying to figure out what to do with all the tickets for the Boston Pops. And initially she's like, here, Sam, you can have them. And he's like, oh, I don't want to go alone. I don't have everybody go with me. And they make not a date. How about that?
Not a date. Also, hey, you know what? I'm not buying it. Sam could find someone to go to the Boston Pops with him if he wanted to. Former athlete, he owns his own business, tall drink of water. He'd be doing just fine.
Well, and that's the kind of the joke of the whole series, right? He can, he's a ladies' man. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, he wants to go with Diane. Yeah. Old habits die hard.
You might say that. The dynamic they have it's a good dynamic. Diane is it's a good character. I mean, I guess I just like every character, seemingly. Actually, no, that's not true. Carl is mean, but
she's still kind of funny, though.
She's just funny, but as a sensitive person, I don't like that kind of ball busting. But
Cheers cast? Is that what you're saying? In not so many words?
Cheers cast? Well, save that for the end, because I do have a question about that. But, all right, so we got to the next day, and, usual suspects. It's Cheers. The same people are pretty much going to be in the bar every night. And Cliff comes in, and he's got a full suit on. He's looking dapper.
Yeah, he looks real good.
He looked real
better than
he looked real good. It looks better than Ponce.
Yeah, and the crowd is excited.
Filmed in front of a live studio audience, and they're going ham. I mean,
they're
whooping it up. Ham. The ladies are like, "Hey, you know what? This doesn't work out with Tinker. You can tinker with me."
Oh boy. They do say something pretty close to that in just a second here. Yeah. Norm kind of sidles up to Cliff and tries to chat a little bit about last night, and he's being a little bit coy, but Carla, being herself, comes up and says he's wondering if you boinked her.
Yeah, and he's like
a little crass.
Yeah, for sure. But he's like I don't know if you've heard this, but sex in a relationship can really complicate things. And they're like, yeah, man, yeah, we know. He's just he really totes the line well between being just a big phony blowhard and then being pretty vulnerable later on. But he's nervous, and as far as I remember, they just kind of waits, right? Or does Norm?
It's only 15 minutes until showtime,
right?
So
yeah,
so he's a little anxious. Cliff's is trying to show that he's like a new man,
Yeah.
basically. So he goes up to another woman to prove his prowess, and he lights her cigarette.
Yeah.
So things are going well, and then he just like completely stumbles over his words and exits.
She was so impressed when he lit her cigarette, and I was pretty impressed too. But then he just like, he can't, unable
crashes and burns.
Yeah, unable to say anything afterwards. Yeah.
He goes back into Sam's office, and Norm follows him there because now he's got to talk him out of it, get him pumped up and ready, so he doesn't crash and burn out with Tinkerbell.
Right.
So he gives him a little pep talk, and it's a nice emotional moment. They move outside, and Cliff's waiting at the door, 8 o'clock, and we get some time passing here. And it's like 6 hours, so it's a lot of time passing. And Cliff is still standing at the door, and he's depressed, and he should be. She stood him up. It's pretty sad.
So Cliff is he's disheartened, and he's all of the hubris that he had earlier in the episode is kind of gone. His friends are trying to console him, but he's talking about letting himself go. He's going to stop dressing clean and keep dressing well and keeping a good hygiene, and he just wants to just sort of drinking problem. He just wants to drink, and his friends are there to back him up. And Sam says if he starts drinking, he's going to have two problems. But before things can get too dire, the phone rings. Jordan.
Before that, though. Yeah. Cliff is talking about like his high school nickname that he made up for himself.
It wasn't like even that cool.
It was Courtesy Cliff or something like that. Courteous Cliff.
I would imagine
Courteous Cliff.
Courtesy Cliff sounds like my job at Kroger as a courtesy clerk.
Courteous Cliff. That's a great nickname.
Well, he thought if it was too good that it would clue people into the fact that he came up with it himself.
Right, yeah, it's much like your Admiral Adam nickname.
Yeah, super. Yeah, everybody called me that in high school. It really stuck. It was cool. So the phone rings, and it's a call for Ponce. But Coach doesn't really quite get it. He thinks it's the old Prince Albert in a can gag, and he's pretty steamed. But Cliff gets over to the phone in time, and we find out that Tinkerbell bailed because she was so nervous. So
are we to suspect she's been sitting 6 hours in this payphone, or just like right outside the bar?
I don't know. I felt like Tinkerbell got let off the hook a little bit on this one. I would say. Like, Cliff is just like, can you imagine me making someone nervous? I totally get it. But it's like, I don't know. You stood a guy up for a really long time. I would imagine she apologized on the phone, but like, he's pretty willing to forgive her, which I guess kind of speaks to his overall relationship or success with women. But like, I don't know. It's pretty bad to be stood up. But you know what? We find out she's going to come.
She's right across the street, actually, in a payphone. So she's going to head right over. And we pan to the familiar steps, and there's some legs appearing there, stepping down the steps, and opens the door, and there she is. And they just kind of like, after some stumbling over their words and their names and stuff, they're just staring, and it's pretty awkward. This is really funny to me. This is a great ending to an episode. Sam, like, there's a few people, Carla, Sam, Coach, they're all, like, off to the back. Sam turns on the jukebox thinking, like, oh, they're going to dance like they did last night.
Right.
And they just stare at each other. Sam starts to do more heavy lifting. He comes over and he, like, sets up their arms. So,
it's like mannequins, kind of.
And they push together. It's a really good gag. So that's the end of the episode.
And they slow dance together. And,
after he pushes them, he has to like knock them to start.
Yeah, he has to like shove them together, and then they kind of embrace. You know, I'm going to assume that Cliff does not marry Tinkerbell, but I don't know what their future is. Does she ever come back? If I had to guess, I'm going to say she doesn't, but I could be wrong.
No, but this is one moment,
one magical Halloween night.
I mean, dreams, fairy tales, or rather, can come true, and they do tonight. So.
Yeah, and that's the episode. Let's do some highs and lows. I mean, like, lows for me, I don't really have any. I mean, like, it's a good, succinct 25 minutes of TV. There's no, like, fat on the bone here. It's, every scene matters. All of the characters have good lines. It's quick, it's witty. Even the Boston Pops subplot, which I think we maybe neglected to mention, at the end, they did go to the Pops together. Sam and Diane, they had a good time, and maybe that relationship is
not dead after all.
Heading in a new direction. But yeah, I know. I think this is a really, really strong episode. It's not like scary or anything, but it gives you an interesting like sentimental look at Halloween that you don't often get in television. But no, I mean, like, I this episode reminded me that Cheers is a really good show, and I like Cheers, and I got to watch more of it. I mean, I can't compliment this episode or just this show enough.
Yeah,
really.
Speaking of the Halloween stuff that you've just mentioned, it's a good way of like incorporating the fact that it's Halloween without making it like too out
haunted
yeah,
house.
Just like completely out of like character for the whole storyline. Like they obviously plot out these stories and character arcs pretty well, and so they're using all the time available to them, so they can't like just waste 20 minutes on some crazy Halloween stuff. So yeah, I mean, I don't know that I have any lows. I don't mind Carla like you do. I think she's kind of funny and that cynical. And
hey, see if you'd like it if she was ragging on you, Jordan.
It's kind of the way you treat me. So
yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have anything to complain about. It was a good episode, funny. I laughed. I laughed out loud at the end, and just having Sam doing all that stuff. That was my favorite part of the episode.
Yeah, it is really good. It's a good episode for Sam. Seeing a couple other episodes, I would say sometimes Coach and Norm get a little more to do, but than they do in this one. But this was very much a Cliff-centric episode, and I really like Cliff's like New England accent. It's very specific. You don't hear it. Like I don't know this for a fact, but I'm guessing he's actually from the area. It just feels like a really like distinct Boston accent. I'm gonna see if he's from there.
Did you read that Cliff, John Ratzenberger's character, was actually not in the original script? Yeah. But he came in to do Norm, and they really liked him, and he like made up a character on the spot basically, and they put it in the show. So
he is from Connecticut. So yeah, you can. It's a very distinct accent. I don't think George Wendt is actually from Boston, but it doesn't matter. George Wendt
fits right in.
They're all good. It's a good show. I gotta watch more Cheers. I didn't grow up with it. My parents didn't ever watch it, so
no, me neither.
I blame them for not it kind of being a blind spot. But yeah, man. So I don't know if you have anything else you want to say. I have a couple questions just to throw your way, Cheers related.
I think it's interesting that we've had 2 episodes of the podcast in general that we've talked about George Wendt now.
I was thinking about that. Another funny thing, I watched a horror movie like 2 days ago just on Amazon because I was hanging out. It's called House. It's from the 80s. It's not very good. But George Wendt is like the neighbor. And I like George Wendt, but he's kind of got one kind of mode. Yeah, like he's good at doing the George Wendt thing, but it was funny to see him. He was kind of like a bumbling next door neighbor, but he did have to fight some monsters in the end of House. Yeah, so that was pretty funny.
I like the idea of it.
House is not good. Guess what the sequel to House, the horror movie, is? Guess what the title is? House 2...
Mansion?
Blank. No. House 2, The Second Story.
Oh, clever.
That's pretty good. It's probably better than the movie. I haven't seen House 2. House 1 does not make me want to watch House 2 or House 3, but...
What's House 3, the third part?
All right, give me a second. Give me a second. House horror movie. It's probably like House 3 3D or some shit. You know, like they're always doing that. You know.
Oh, it better not be.
Let's see, House. Oh, it's a fantasy hour and a half.
That's a good time.
It was a good length. I did have to break it up in two watching segments, which should tell you something. Okay, House. Okay, this shows that there's a House 2, the second story, and then it skips to House 4? What about House 3? Well, House 4 is called The Repossession, so that's kind of clever. Okay. House is getting repossessed.
Repo.
Yeah, House 3 apparently does not exist, or I don't know.
They wiped it off the map, it was so bad.
It must have like Bill Cosby in it or something, and they don't want to acknowledge it. Okay, so Cheers-related questions I have for you. First question, which Home Improvement cast member fits in best on Cheers?
Well, the boys are too young, I suppose, to be in that bar. It would be really hard to have Wilson hiding behind stuff the whole time, so that does not work.
Also, you can't have Wilson if you have Frasier. Too similar.
I mean, and kind of the Karn man fits in a little bit with, like, Cliff, I would say.
I know. I think it's either Tim or Al, but Al is a lot like Cliff. Like, you could very easily see this episode of Home Improvement, like a similar thing happening to Al in an episode of Home Improvement.
Yeah, I think it's too obvious of an answer, but I guess Tim, right?
Yeah, I think so. Like a masculine guy who's like really into, like, I guess Cheers doesn't really have that kind of person.
He breaks like all the pool sticks all the time and stuff,
or he like tries to fix things and things go wrong.
He's the bar handyman.
That could be pretty good, actually. Let's challenge ourselves and say that we can't say Tim, though. Then who do we say?
Jill as Sam's third love interest.
I'm going to say Benny.
Oh, no.
As resident piece of shit. But no, that's good. I didn't think about that. But yeah, Al and Cliff are actually really similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that wouldn't really work.
Are you
out.
saying that Home Improvement ripped off Cheers?
Yeah.
That's where we're going with this.
Yeah, print the
legend. That's gonna be at the top of our next clickbait article that we write, or video that we record.
It's gonna be like the dark secrets of the Last Home podcast. Ever notice that Last Man Standing is kind of like Home Improvement? Sort of fishy, huh?
You ever notice that Al is a lot like Cliff Cliven?
Whoa! Next question. I feel like, well, this is less an observation. This is less a question than an observation. A Cheers podcast. That'd be kind of challenging based on the one setting. I feel. Yeah, I feel like it would be hard. I feel like it's hard talking about things that are in one setting. Like granted, I didn't take notes for this episode, but like, I don't know. It's just like, then we move to the other end of the bar, and then they're playing pool, and then like the conversations are all so close that I feel like it's sort of difficult to talk about. Well, maybe you disagree.
I mean, the way you set it up is more story based. So, like, what are the big story beats and hitting those types of things? So, I don't know. It would be a little bit different, but I don't know that it would be hard.
It's 250 episodes inside of a bar. I feel like that sounds hard. You know, maybe you're more confident in our ability than I am, but I just feel like it would be difficult.
We're gonna make it to 200 and plus episodes of Home Improvement.
Yeah,
we can do anything.
Kevin Garnett, anything is possible.
Anything is possible. I'm not saying I want to do another podcast so long, but at least Cheers.
We're definitely not going to do a Cheers podcast. No. But it would have been, sliding doors. It would have been an interesting thing to do.
That never came up on our radar, did it?
No, I didn't have any background on Cheers. Home Improvement, we had background, and also like 250. You said 250 episodes of Cheers.
275.
Yeah, that's so much. Like if you're starting a show, that's like 5 years, which is it's hard to really commit to anything for 5 years.
Except for this podcast.
Well, yeah, but
we didn't think that at the time.
Yeah, I'm not sure when we started. We thought that it was gonna go that long, but yeah, that was really all my questions. So that's it was really good. It was fun. It was fun to watch. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we thank you to our Patreon donors that make this type of thing possible. Tell your friends and show us pictures of your stickers if you got them, and let us know what other episodes or TV shows or movies or whatever you'd like us to cover going forward, and feedback on this episode and all the good stuff. So just thank you for giving us money, supporting us, and helping us to run the podcast for all these many, 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 many years and episodes.
The money is not for these episodes. The money is for us, but we do this as a way to give something back. And also, I had something else I was going to say, but I've lost it. Jordan says give us feedback, but I don't feel like you don't want to do a movie for the Patreon episode. I feel like you are anti-movie because it's too much work up front. So you say that, but I don't think you actually mean it.
Hey, if we get any interaction, then I'm liable to pay attention.
Tell Jordan that you want to do a Goofy movie, because I think that is like that. That's right. It's a Disney property. We both really like it. I've been it's gonna be Pauly Shore lately.
It's gonna be a gush fest.
Yeah. Well, so what do you call this? I mean, like we basically, that was sort of what this was.
Yeah, but on that one, we're gonna start singing like Eye to Eye and stuff. We're gonna be like all over Powerline.
We can't do that. We have to promise we won't do that.
Got myself a notion. I'm sorry.
No, man, it's all good. What's your favorite Goofy movie song?
That one, Eye to Eye, is amazing.
Okay.
Every 3 months, it gets stuck in my head.
What's your least favorite?
Ooh, probably the one that those like weird bears or whatever sing.
Oh, yeah.
The animatronics.
Lester's Possum Park. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
That's your actually favorite?
No, yeah, I wrote that. My uncle wrote that.
Okay.
No, I mean...
What is there, like 4 songs, 5 songs?
Okay, all right, let's
go ahead and recap.
Let's listen. Okay, Eye to Eye.
The one where they're like the school year's over.
They've been laughing since I can remember. That one's really good.
Mm-hmm.
What's the song in the beginning?
Where it's the concert?
Yeah. Some people settle for the typical thing.
Yep.
That one's awesome.
Yep. We talked about Eye to Eye.
Out on the Open Road. Out on the Open Road is
pretty rough.
Probably my least favorite. If we're not counting Lester's Possum Park, because that's like barely a song in the movie. Probably Out, and I don't even dislike Out on the Open Road that much. It's just a lot worse than the other ones.
It's tough. I mean, it's hard to compete with all the other ones. So maybe there's more, but man, what I wouldn't give to learn how to do the perfect cast.
I thought you were going to say what I wouldn't give for a night with Roxanne.
She's all yours, buddy.
Hey, man, I know you are always a little bit more into... Who's another female? There's not very many women in that movie. Who's her friend? Who's her friend? The girl with the glasses.
With the braces?
Yeah, she throws the party.
I don't know, but her and Pauly Shore are together, so that's never going to happen.
Hey, the Goof Man, Leaning Tower of Chisa.
So now this has moved into a Goofy Movie podcast, which is definitely not what they were hoping for.
If you liked that, what we just did, imagine 45 more. No, I could give an hour on that. Cheers is hard to talk about for more than like 40 minutes, but I can give you a solid hour on Goofy Movie.
Easy.
I have takes.
And extremely Goofy Movie next.
I'm not talking about that shit. Oh, you know where they go? It's like X Games?
Yeah, it's rough. It's rough.
Why bother?
Maximilian. All right. Anyways.
Thanks for giving us money to do this. Yeah, it helps us pay for hosting. That's it. We're not making money off this. We just don't want to lose money. So thanks for helping us do that. What else? You got anything else you want to say?
No, I just I appreciate all of you patrons. You're amazing.
Yeah, you guys are good. Thanks a lot. Bye.